All right, y'all. So as I mentioned in yesterday's video, the Lakers and Bucks had a phenomenal game last night, and honestly, it showed me a lot about both teams. Some things I kind of already knew, but like it reinforced some things about both teams for me definitely, and raised a few new concerns for the Bucks. So first, for those of y'all that don't know or might not have seen, the Lakers without LeBron beat the fully healthy Bucks last night in double overtime, 128 to 124. They were down by 19 in the fourth quarter, and they came back and won in double overtime. And Spencer Dinwiddie, who had a terrible game. I mean, he literally didn't hit a field goal until I think either overtime or the fourth quarter. Like, he did not hit a field goal. His 2 points up until then were literally from free throws. But he hit a three in overtime that gave the Lakers a 111-108 lead. That was the first Laker lead all game. It came in overtime. Giannis and AD both showed out. You know what I'm saying? They both had great games, but neither one of them was efficient. AD got the best of this matchup. I think, personally, like I said, for me, Giannis was my MVP frontrunner. I don't think he is anymore after that. The way he performed, he had a good game, but he was inefficient. And then the way he performed in overtime and in the second overtime and even late in the fourth, it was questionable. Like, he was missing free throws, which we'll talk about. He was just missing layups and stuff. Like, he was still getting boards and everything. He had a clutch assist. I think it was to Chris Middleton with the tap out. They hit a three. That was good. But with the MVP race as tight as it is, a game like that might have cost him the MVP just because he was so inefficient. They were up 19 in the fourth. They lose to the Lakers, who were without their best player. AD had just as good of a game, arguably a better game than he did. So, like, I would argue personally that AD had a better game than he did. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's hard for me to put him above Jokic in that MVP race right now. And even Luka, kind of, with the way Luka just balled out against the Kings last night. Like I said, I think if Luka can get to the 5 seed or the 4 seed, I genuinely would put him as first in my MVP ballot. But we'll see. But yeah, so let's talk about this. So, Giannis posted 29 points, 21 boards, 11 assists, but then he has 7 turnovers, and he only shot 14 for 25. He missed 2 clutch free throws in double overtime. There was just over, I think, 24 seconds left. The Bucks were down by 3 to 124 to 121, something like that. And he missed both free throws. LeBron and them was over there counting on the bench about how many seconds it was taking. Like, it was crazy. And then for the Lakers, the second half, it was literally all AD, Austin Reeves, and D'Lo. D'Lo had a terrible first half, and AD had a good first half, but he was inefficient. But he ended up being inefficient all game, so, you know, it's fine. But, yeah, with the absence of Bron, those three, they balled out the way they needed to. Rui Hachimura had some clutch buckets in there as well. Taurean Prince had some good minutes. Like I said, Dinwiddie wasn't great, but he did hit a big three, and he had some big possessions. Got to the free throw line got to the free throw line one time in OT. That was I think it was double OT. Got to the free throw line, big free throws. So like he didn't have a good game, but he had some good moments. So AD, he had 34, 23 boards, 4 blocks, 4 turnovers, and only 2 assists, and he was only 12 of 31 shooting, so not efficient, like I said. 34 points, 23 boards, though, you can never overlook that. We can't just disrespect that. Reeves, 29, 14, and 10 triple-double. D'Lo had 29 points and 12 assists. Like I said, like the Lakers role players, man, they did their thing in this game. And some of them, they've had rough seasons, some of them, and like there was questions about trading D'Lo and all this type of stuff, but in the absence of Bron, he showed up when he needed to. Outdueled Dame, if you ask me, because Dame did not have a good game. I would say D'Lo and Austin Reeves both had much better games than Dame did. And if you want to put Reeves and match him up with Chris Middleton, he had a much better game than Chris Middleton did. So the Lakers role players did better than the Bucks key pieces did, which is crazy. Like, that is why. And then the key piece in AD did better than the Bucks key piece in Giannis, and that was without their best player in LeBron. So, like I said, some concerns for the Bucks, especially after being up 19 at home in the fourth quarter. You know what I'm saying? There was some concerns there. So yeah, now that the recap's over, I told y'all about the stats. I told y'all what happened in the game. Let's go over what I actually learned or some things that were reinforced for me. So first of all, if the Bucks want to compete with Boston, if the Bucks want to be up there with the New Yorks, with the Bostons, they're in that tier obviously, but if they really want to beat that powerhouse that is Boston, they will need Dame to play better, and they will need Giannis to be more efficient. I'm not worried about Giannis too much. Again, they have the Celtics, right? They have Porzingis, but there's no bigs in the East that I'm worried about with Giannis. Like Embiid, if he's back, sure, but they probably would even. Well, they could play Giannis in the first round, but I'm not worried about that at all. I'm not worried about who Giannis is. We know who he is. He's an MVP candidate. He was going against one of the best defenders in the league. Like, I'm not and he still had a good game. Like, let's not put it like he had a bad stat line or something. Like he scored 17 points and had 8 boards. Like, no, he had a good game. He was just inefficient, and he had some bad moments here or there. And towards the end of the game. but I'm not worried about him. But it's Dame though, bro. Dame is starting to concern me just a little bit. Dame is starting to concern me just a little bit because he's been inefficient all season, right? And I'm not tripping over it. Like, Dame is getting older. There have been some coaching staff changes and everything like that. Like, the head coach literally changed midway through the season. It's in first year in Milwaukee for him. I'm not overly concerned, but it is definitely beginning to become more of a real worry for me. He's been inconsistent shooting the ball all year, like I said. Last night, he was 27 points, which is good, but then he took 29 shots to do it. He shot 9 of 29, and if you watch the game, you can see AD blocked his shot twice. I think each time it was like a little mid-range jumper / floater. Like, I can't remember exactly, but I remember both times it was like in a really similar spot on the floor, and I think they were both in double OT, both the blocks. AD blocked his shot twice in clutch situations, and it's just like, and the homies were in the group to talk about some Dame time because Dame he just hit a big shot in like the fourth quarter, maybe the first overtime, something like that. And the homies were talking about Dame time, and then I said, yeah, AD just shut all that Dame time stuff up, bro. Like, he sent him back twice. It was wild. Like I said, I really do believe they are going to need Dame Dollar to play better. They're going to need Dame time. They're going to need a more efficient Dame. I think they'll need to lean more on Giannis than they do on Dame. Like, I understand Giannis trying to be a good guy. Oh, it's Dame's team. I respect that. Dame is a great presence. He is obviously the second best player on that team. He is a superstar, right? You're going to need to run through Giannis, and you're going to need to have Dame shoot the ball more efficiently. Especially in a game like this, it's like, I personally felt as if towards the end of the game, towards the end of the fourth, there were too many plays being called for Dame, considering the fact that he had a bad shooting night. And I get that they're running a lot called for Giannis because, one, you don't want to foul Giannis. We saw that in double OT when he missed 2 free throws. You don't want him to be at the line. Like, if you're the Lakers, you want to foul Giannis if you're in that situation, but the Bucks, you don't want him at the line. So I understand why you couldn't have maybe called more plays for him, and you're not going to call any for Chris Middleton because he was having an inefficient game. Brook Lopez, you're not going to really call any for him because, like, he's not that key piece to the offense like Giannis or Dame or Chris Middleton is. And I feel that, but it's like, at the end of the day, you kind of do have to say in some of these possessions, it's like, all right, let's go. Let Giannis go at AD, see what happens, right? And, like, with Dame having such an inefficient game, I would not have been mad if Doc Rivers had called some more plays for him, but I understand why he didn't. I understand why he went with Dame for so many of those plays, and Dame did get fouled on a 3, hit all 3 free throws, right? So that's part of the reason you give the ball to Dame. I feel you, I get you, but it's like, I don't know. It's just, I feel like you have to take into consideration, one, the fact that you're trying to get Giannis an MVP, and then 2, you're not trying to blow this lead at home, and then 3, it's just like, you don't really want to be losing these games going into the playoffs. If you're trying to build momentum, and this is a game where you're up 19 in the fourth, you kind of want to get this game. The Lakers, even though they're the 10th seed, they're a good team. We just watched Boston blow a 30-point lead to the Hawks. You want to say, hey, the Boston blew that, but we're not blowing one to a team that's better. And then they blow a 19-point lead in the fourth quarter to a team, you know what I'm saying? To a team that's better than Atlanta, I'll give them that, but it didn't look good. So that's really what I learned for the Bucks. It's like, they're gonna need Dame to be Dame, and he wasn't Dame last night. Like I said, I'm not too worried about it. He's a superstar and everything, but I'm more concerned about his struggles recently than I am about Giannis's. Malik Beasley, he had a good game. He had some big shots for Milwaukee late in the game. Like, he was hitting threes and everything like that, which was great. But in double overtime, he missed 2 wide open threes, and I think both of them were in the same left corner. You need him to hit those. At least one of them. It's a close game. And I think he did hit one towards like the end of the game where he hit like a 3, but the game was already kind of out of reach. Like, we knew there was not enough time left for them to do anything. It was close, like it was like 5 or 6 points, but I think it was actually maybe 6 or 7 points when he hit that 3, but it was like we knew what the game was going to be, bro. We knew it was over. There wasn't enough time. Like, it was a cool 3, but there wasn't enough time. I'm not even sure if he was the one that hit it, but I'm pretty sure he was. You'll need, if you're playing a team versus Boston, if you're playing a team like Boston, you're playing a team like Cleveland, you're playing a team like New York, some of these better teams in the East, you're kind of going to need Malik Beasley to hit those wide open shots. Like I said, I'm not hating on him too much. He had a solid game. I think he was like 4 for 12 from 3, which isn't great, but not terrible. Well, like I said, not great, not terrible, but you want him to hit some of those more wide open ones. But at the same time, it's like you shouldn't be relying on Malik Beasley when you have Giannis, Dame, and Chris Middleton all healthy. You need Giannis, Giannis had a good game. You need Dame and Chris Middleton to have better games than that. Chris Middleton, 4-15 from the field, 12 points. Now, I'm not hating on him too much because, one, he's older and he's been having a lot of injury history recently. Like, he literally just came back from injury. I think it was like that game versus the Suns. I think it was maybe the game where they didn't have Giannis and they beat the Suns, and it was like, I'm pretty sure that was his first game back, maybe. He just came back from injury. I'm not hating on him too much. There is enough time for him to get back. There is enough time for him to get into a rhythm come playoff time with the amount of games left. There's enough games left where I believe he could get into a little bit more of an offensive rhythm. And then that first series should be pretty easy. Even it depends. If Embiid's back, it won't be easy if they are playing Philly. But if it depends who they play. Like if they're playing Miami, that's not going to be an easy series. But if they're playing Philly, with Embiid back or without Embiid back, I'm taking Boston either way. I'm taking Milwaukee either way. But you will need these guys to be more efficient if you're going against a Boston in the Eastern Conference Finals. If you're going against maybe a New York in the second round or something like that, depending on how the seeding plays out. If you're going against Philly in the first round, that's not going to be a cakewalk. I would pick Boston. I would pick Milwaukee. I don't know why I keep saying Boston. I would pick Milwaukee. But even with Embiid playing, I pick Milwaukee. But with Embiid playing, bro, that is not just a cakewalk of a series. Like, that series could easily be a longer series if they play around. Or if Dame and Chris Middleton aren't having good series, that could easily be a longer series. And you don't want to be going into the second round or the conference finals tired with no legs. Because let's say that one goes 7, and you're kind of risking not having legs, especially if you're going to go 7 against Boston in the Eastern Conference Finals, which I would expect if they met. I'd expect that to go 6 or 7. Probably 7, though. Like I said, I'm not hating too much on Chris Middleton. Just came back from injury. Let's give him time. I think the biggest concern for the Bucks for me right now is Dame, and then also Doc Rivers. But he coached a good game last night, if you ask me. Like, you don't want them to come back, but he gave them some chances. Okay, let's talk about that game-winning alley-oop in the fourth quarter. Doc Rivers drew up a beautiful play, a beautiful oop. AD held him. I understand that should have been a foul call. AD did hold on Giannis when he was trying to get the ball, when he was trying to run to the spot to get the ball. But Giannis goes up, catches it, and he has the chance to lay it in like a little finger roll straight off the backboard. Keep in mind this man's like 6'11", could have laid it in, and he airballed it. And it's like, I know you were foul trying to get there, but it's like, bro, you're that close to the rim, you're that high up. AD's not even really in the air with you. Like, you need to hit that. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's a game winner. You're at home. You don't want to blow this lead. You don't want to even go in OT. That is the shot that I want Giannis to hit. Like I said, which is why he might have ruined his MVP chances for me. He'll still be top 3, top 4, but I don't think he's going to win it. And I wasn't really sure he was going to win it in the first place, but he's not my first place vote anymore. But I'm not going to hate on Doc Rivers because this game to me wasn't really his fault. Like, yeah, coaching definitely is a problem if you're letting a team come back from down 19 in the fourth. But he did give the Bucks a lot of chances. He genuinely did. The rotation seemed pretty good from what I saw, and especially late in the game. Like, there wasn't much subbing. He was leaving the key guys in. I liked it. I liked the matchups and everything. I just feel like the players weren't capitalizing on opportunities. But in the playoffs, I will have questions about Doc Rivers because of his history. Like, outside of that 2008 championship, I have a lot of questions about his playoff history. So there will be more questions there, but in this game, I didn't really see him as too much of a question mark as much as I saw the struggles of Dame and Chris Middleton as a question mark. And like I said, the refs missed calls. They missed. To me, it felt like they missed a lot of calls on both sides towards the end of the game, and I felt like it was pretty fair. Like that call that Dame got on that 3, where it was like Austin Reeves barely touched the bottom of his leg. I didn't like the call, but then on the next play down, they gave, I don't remember who it was. I think it was like Malik Beasley. He tapped like Austin Reeves on the leg or somebody, or D'Lo or something, and they gave them the same call. So I was like, okay, it's even. Now, one was a 3, and I believe one was a 2. But, it's like they did give him the same call. So it's like, I'm okay with that because you kind of did try to make up for it. Now, the free throw discrepancy, though, that's going to be a key for me for the Lakers. The Lakers shot 32. The Bucks only shot 17. Bucks are at home. And this has been a trend for not just now. Like, this has been a trend for not just this season, not just last season. Since LeBron and AD have been in LA, the free throw discrepancy has been wild. Like, it is by far the most in the league. They shoot by far the most free throws in the league every year, and they have ever since LeBron and AD got there. And, like, I don't really know how to put that because there are some calls that are questionable. Like, they'll say LeBron's foot was on the line when it wasn't, or he was out of bounds when his heel was up. You know what I'm saying? So there are questionable calls that the Lakers get, but I think those questionable calls aren't as often as people make them seem. I think, for me, when I'm watching, the Lakers get a favorable whistle more often than they don't, but it's like sometimes the calls are so egregious against the Lakers that it makes you feel like they're happening more often. Like that, I think it was LeBron on his birthday, that 3, I think it was versus Memphis or something. Like, his foot was not on the line. It was not. His foot was behind the line. And that's such an egregious call that looks so obvious when it was zoomed in that I see why Lakers fans were mad and why Lakers fans are starting to believe that this is happening more often than it is. But it's not. The Lakers are shooting a lot of free throws, and I think that's going to be a key for them come playoff time. If you could get a lot of free throws off in the playoffs when other teams aren't getting as many and the whistle's tighter, that's going to help you stay in games that you may not even belong in, and that's going to help you get leads in games where you shouldn't have them, right? So that's going to be a key for the Lakers. I'm interested to see because the league has been calling games a lot better, a lot more. They've been letting the boys play more. It's kind of like what I like to say since the All-Star break. Like the numbers even back it up, and I think the league even came out and said that they were. So I like that. I think the officiating's been good. The officiating has been good for the most part. But we'll see come playoff time. I do want to see if it's going to be the same whistle they have now or if they're going to swallow the whistle even a little more, because that will have an effect on a team like the Lakers who shoot a lot of free throws, or like on certain players that do, like SGA. It's a lot of players that shoot a lot of free throws. It will be interesting. Now for LA, let's go and move on to LA. I was just talking about them with the free throws. I learned the biggest thing for me was, which kind of I already knew, but it really solidified it for me. If D'Angelo Russell, Rui Hachimura, and Austin Reeves are all playing well, and with AD and Bron both healthy, there's not a team that's beating them. I'm not gonna lie. In a 7-game series, if all these guys are playing well, Bron and AD are playing well, they're both healthy, they're not even caring, they're just having good games. If they can keep up with guys like Jamal Murray and Jokic, I do trust Okay, let me slow down. Let's say the Lakers match up with the Nuggets in the first round, which right now they would. If they made it out of the play-in, they'd be the 8th seed, and the Nuggets would be the 1 seed, so they'd be playing each other in the first round, right? If AD and Bron can keep up with Jokic and Murray, I would trust D'Lo, Austin Reeves, and Rui over the role players of scoring-wise, over the role players of the Nuggets, because I trust Aaron Gordon defensively, but you're not going to really trust him to score that much. Like, you're not going to be asking him for a lot of offense. Now, if Aaron Gordon can go out there and hit a 3 or 2 for you in a game, you're probably going to win that game, because he's going to be playing some good defense as well. We know what he is. He's probably going to have that Bron matchup if they do meet, which I assume they will. And it's like, another thing is like Michael Porter Jr., he is one of those guys, bro, when he's on, if you have a good Michael Porter Jr. game and the Nuggets are playing the way the Nuggets play, that they're going to win that game. There's nothing you can do. If they're having a good Michael Porter Jr. game and the Nuggets are playing the way the Nuggets play basketball, you're not beating them that game. But I'm not trusting him to do that for a 7-game series. I know what he is. I know what the Nuggets are. I know what Mike Malone is. I know what they are at home. But I'm just saying, if the Lakers role players play the way they played last night, and then they insert LeBron, and AD's efficiency goes up, because when LeBron is there, it's going to take a lot of offensive load away from Anthony Davis, so his efficiency theoretically should go up. I'm not going to lie to you, in a 7-game series, that would be a series that I think would go 7, if those guys can play the way they played last night. Now, that's a big F. There's a lot to ask, because you also have to be thinking, is Darvin Ham going to be able to keep up with Mike Malone? And I don't believe so. But, because Mike Malone to me is to me and maybe everyone else in the basketball world is simply the much better coach. So it's interesting to see. Like I said, with the Lakers, it's interesting because there are so many Fs. It's like, we've seen these guys these role players have great series, and then we've seen guys like D'Lo disappear like he did in the Western Conference Finals last year, right? So it's interesting to see. It just really, kind of like with the Lakers last year, it really depends on what version of the role players we get. Because in the first round, it's like, okay, if they meet Denver in the first round and they beat them, they're going to the finals, if you ask me. But they have just as likely, maybe even more likely of a chance to be bounced out first round by the Nuggets. So there's a lot of Fs there. The Lakers are one of those teams where it's like, ooh, are they going to get bounced out in the first round, or are they going to go to the finals? Like, because the first round, let's say they play the Nuggets, that right there, that series right there would decide their whole playoff fate. If they lose, they lose. It's obvious, right? Like, if you lose in the playoffs, you lose in the playoffs. But if they beat the Nuggets, there's not a team beating them. I'm sorry. There's not a team in the West that will beat LA if they can beat the Nuggets in the first round. Because for them to beat the Nuggets in the first round, they'd have to play perfect. They'd have to play the way they played last night, with AD being more efficient and Bron coming in and still doing what Bron does. That's a lot to ask. That is a lot. The Lakers would have to play the best basketball imaginable over a 7-game series, and that is a lot to ask when you got your main guys in year 21. At AD, he's been playing a lot of games recently. I don't know, that street clothes narrative is done now. He's been playing a lot of games recently. He has not missed many games at all this year, maybe like 2, I think. Like, he has not missed many games at all this year. So it's like, let's say they're all healthy. It's still a lot to ask, because you never know. AD could get hurt anytime. Bron is older. You never know. He could get hurt at any time. D'Lo and Austin Reeves could randomly decide one day to just vanish and not show up. Rui, same thing. Jared Vanderbilt is kind of unplayable. Because, well, in certain series, he will become kind of unplayable like he did last year in the Western Conference Finals, just because that offensive game is not up to par at all. So there will be a lot of questions for the LA to me. But like I said, if they are to beat the Nuggets in the first round, let's say they match up. If they beat them, they're going to the finals. They might win it. I'm not going to lie to you. If they beat the Nuggets first round, they're not only going to the finals, they may win it. Because they would have to play such good basketball to beat them that it would make me believe that, oh yeah, they can beat anybody. Because to me, Denver is, if not the best, the second best team in the league behind Boston. So it would take a lot. But LA is one of those teams where you really just, you can never count them out. When you have LeBron, like I said this in a video when I talked about my 2 NBA title contenders. You have a guy like LeBron, you have a guy like Steph, you have a guy like KD to a lesser extent. You can never count them out, ever. It does not, Jokic, it does not matter. In the playoffs, you will never be able to count them out of a series no matter what. So for me, the biggest key for LA is really just going to be consistency. It's going to be what guys show up healthy. It's going to be what guys play the way they know the way we have just seen them play. Can these guys play the way that we know they can, because they just proved it to us versus the second best team in the East in Milwaukee? Can these guys play like that for a consistent playoff run? If they can, it's going to be tough to convince me that LA can't win the finals. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, that is a lot to ask given the fact they are the 9 seed for a reason. They have been inconsistent. They were inconsistent last year, and like sure they made the Western Conference Finals and everything like that, but they got swept by the Nuggets. Right now, if they made it out to play-in, the Nuggets would be their first opponent. So it's like it's tough. It is definitely tough. And this Nuggets team is a little different. They're missing Bruce Brown, right? But then they also got Christian Brown, who's taking a step. They still have the same starting five, the same key guys. So it's very interesting. I'd be very intrigued to see how an LA Denver series would go if LA is playing the way they played last night, and then adding LeBron into that. So, and then like I said, for Milwaukee, the biggest concerns, Middleton, Dame. We know how they can play, especially Dame. We know how these boys can play. Like, Middleton has a ring. We know what these guys can do. It's just going to be like they're going to have to do it if they play Boston, because that is a series right there where you're going to need everybody at the top to even have a chance of beating Boston. And Boston has flaws, so don't get me out here thinking like they're unbeatable or something, but it's like Milwaukee to me is the next closest team, and last night it kind of like reinforced the idea in my mind that even though they are the closest team in the East, there is still a decent gap there. There is, to me, still a gap, a little bit of a gap between Boston and Milwaukee, the same way that like for in the West there's a gap between Denver, like it used to be for me, it was Denver then LA, the Clippers. It's Denver and then everybody else in the West for me right now. The Clippers haven't been good right now. Like if they play the Lakers or something, I believe the Lakers will smack them boys the way the Clippers have been playing recently. I have no trust in Phoenix. Golden State, like I said, with Steph, you never know, but they don't have the secondary star. I don't have any trust in them. Dallas, I have trust in Luka and Kyrie, but like I'm not gonna pick Luka and Kyrie over Jokic and Murray, or even over LeBron and AD. Like in a series like that, I'd probably have to go with one of those 2 teams, but I do have faith in the Mavs. The Pelicans look good, the Thunder look good, the Kings look good, but I don't really have faith in any of them I don't think any of them are realistically going to make it out of the Western Conference Finals. I don't think any of them are realistically going to make it out of the West, is what I'm trying to say. Any one of them could make it to the Western Conference Finals for sure, because like I said, we don't know what LA is going to look like. So I believe LA, the Lakers are Denver's biggest threat, and they would probably see them first round. So if they can take care of that, I believe they would make it. They would easily make it out of the West. But it depends, because if we get that version of the Clippers that was like 26-5 with Harden at one point, like that is going to be a scary team. But they haven't looked like that at all recently, like not at all. And they played the 76ers in an hour, so we'll see. Maybe they'll get that back up. But by the time this video up, that game will probably just be starting, so we'll see. So yeah, a little bit of a longer video, like 25 minutes. That was basically what I learned from watching Lakers Bucks. And I'd really be very interested to see what y'all think. Tell me if I missed anything. Tell me if y'all agree with me. Tell me if y'all were seeing things that I didn't see. Or tell me if there was things that maybe I'm, 1, blowing out of proportion, or 2, not thinking about enough, like not taking enough consideration of or into. So y'all let me know. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Y'all let me know what y'all noticed. Y'all let me know if y'all watched that game and how you felt about it. And if any of your opinions changed about either team or any of the playoff type aspirations for either team. So yeah, you let me know. I love y'all. Appreciate y'all for watching. You'll get another video tomorrow, you know that. But yeah, appreciate y'all. Stay blessed. Stay praying. Love y'all.